Are you ready to explore the jaw-dropping signs unfolding in Israel that have shocked the entire world? Terrifying indications of a possible rapture shake the foundations, and you don't want to miss understanding what's happening. These startling events send global shockwaves. Today, we're diving into the heart of these revelations. So here we begin with the video. The first rapture sign was the reconstruction of the Third Temple and its significance. The Third Temple, a sacred place in Jerusalem, holds immense significance for many people. It's considered even more special than the old temples that no longer exist. Although it hasn't been built yet, the anticipation is growing. For Orthodox Jews, it's not just a physical structure, it's a symbol of holiness and a place of worship. Since 1987, the temple movement has been gearing up to build the Third Temple. Despite the modern era's secularism, Orthodox Jews are deeply committed to this cause. They've re-established the Sanhedrin, a religious committee overseeing the temple's regulations. Their aim is to rebuild the temple according to religious standards. For Orthodox Jews, rebuilding the temple is crucial to improving the world. They believe that the world can only improve once the temple is reconstructed. Not only this, the return of Israel to the Promised Land and the construction of the Third Temple align with biblical prophecies. Prophets like Ezekiel and Isaiah foretold these events, emphasizing God's promise to restore his people. Then the nations will know that I, the Lord, make Israel holy when my sanctuary is among them forever. God's plan always included bringing the Jewish people back to the land on his terms. After centuries of global exile, this return fulfilled prophecies of gathering from the east, west, north, and south. I will say to the north, give them up, and to the south, do not hold them back. Bring my sons from afar, and my daughters from the ends of the earth. You might wonder why built the Third Temple when Yeshua serves in the true tabernacle in heaven. The Holy Temple is not just a physical structure, it's a dwelling place for the divine presence of God. Let them construct a sanctuary for me, that I may dwell among them. The prophet Ezekiel witnessed the departure of this divine presence from the temple, but also saw the rebuilding of an eternal dwelling place of God in Jerusalem. This is the place of my throne, and the place for the soles of my feet. This is where I will live among the Israelites forever. Rambam, a medieval Jewish philosopher, emphasized the temple's eternal significance. According to this perspective, the Third Temple is not just a historical reconstruction, but a symbol of God's eternal presence among his people. During the Third Temple reconstruction, an ancient temple was discovered beneath the Temple Mount. In 1927, an earthquake damaged the Al-Aqsa Mosque, leading to investigations by archaeologist Robert Hamilton and Muslim clerics. They found secrets hidden where the mosque had collapsed. Years later, Israeli archaeologists Dr. Gabi Barkai and Zachi Dvira revisited these discoveries. They dug through tons of earth from the Temple Mount and found surprising artifacts. These findings, like a Jewish mikveh from the Second Temple time and a Byzantine mosaic under the mosque, changed what people knew about Jerusalem's history. The discoveries suggest a more diverse history at the Temple Mount, possibly including structures like churches from the Byzantine era. And then there was the arrival of red heifers. 5 red heifers arrived in Israel from a Texas ranch, sparking lots of interest among those who believe in the prophecy of building the Third Temple in Jerusalem. This is seen as a fulfillment of prophecy. These young heifers are under a year old, and if they stay entirely red without any flaws, they can be used to make ashes. These ashes are crucial in Jewish law to purify those who've been near a dead body, especially for the priests who will work in the future temple. Upon arrival, the special heifers went to Haifa for a 7-day quarantine following Israeli veterinary authority rules. After that, they'll move to 2 places in Israel, one of which will be open to the public. They'll be cared for until they reach 3 years old, when they can be sacrificed, and their ashes made following Jewish law. An organization called Bonei Israel, made up of Jews and Christians, played a significant role in bringing these heifers to Israel. Byron Stinson, a Texas rancher and advisor for the organization, raised these cattle. At Ben Gurion Airport, a welcome ceremony attended by Temple Institute officials and other important people marked their arrival. The red heifer holds deep meaning in the Bible. Its ashes were used to purify the Israelites from uncleanness, as written in Numbers 19. These ashes were essential for purification rituals in the temple, so many see the appearance of a red heifer today as a sign of the Third Temple's construction and Christ's return. According to tradition, there have been 9 red heifers sacrificed since Moses' time, but none since the Second Temple's destruction. Rabbi Maimonides taught that the Messiah himself would sacrifice the 10th red heifer. The arrival of these 5 perfect red heifers from Texas to Israel on September 15, 2022, is seen by many as a fulfillment of prophecy and a significant step toward building a new temple. The rules for a red heifer are strict under the Mosaic law. It must be without defect or blemish and never worn a yoke, Numbers chapter 19, verse 2. The process of sacrificing a red heifer involved unique rituals, including using a female animal, sacrificing away from the entrance, and the specified color of the animal. This whole process foreshadowed the sacrifice of Christ. Jesus, like the red heifer, was without blemish. Similar to the red heifer sacrifice outside the camp, Jesus was crucified outside Jerusalem. Just as the red heifer's ashes purified from death's contamination, Jesus' sacrifice cleanses from the penalty and corruption of sin and death. Recently, the construction went to another level when the ceremony for the Third Temple happened. On October 12th, an ancient water ceremony took place at an old temple in Jerusalem, drawing a big crowd. The ceremony began at Shahar Hashpat in the city's old quarter, led by priests and musicians. The excited crowd followed the priests through historic routes to Shiloh, also known as Siloam Springs, a crucial site during the temple's time. During the procession, people chanted and danced, and silver trumpets echoed at each stop, with respected rabbis overseeing the event. At Shiloh, a golden jug collected water, and the procession returned to the mountain's summit. Following ancient temple customs, they set up a model altar with utensils and leafy branches. The ceremony ended with blessings and a special event called Hakhel, which happens once every 7 years. Though not directly mandated by the Torah, the water libation holds a special place in Moses' oral tradition and is celebrated joyfully. The original temple ceremony lasted 15 hours, and the festivities continued into the night until the temple service resumed. People worldwide gathered to participate in the Sukkot celebrations, turning it into an international day of worship. During the last 6 days of Sukkot, the water libation coincided with pouring wine during the morning service. Priests filled a flask with spring water and journeyed from the temple to the Shiloh spring at the base of Mount Moriah. In the temple's inner courtyard, 2 priests poured wine and water into designated holes on the stone altar, preserving a tradition of significant historical and religious importance. After the ceremony recently, a marriage also took place in Temple Mount. In Jeremiah chapter 33, verse 11, a prophecy talks about a happy time with the voice of joy and the voice of gladness, indicating the joy linked with the arrival of a future Messiah and the Third Temple. This prophecy has sparked a trend in Israel, where Jewish individuals visit the revered Temple Mount, seeing it as a sign of the Messiah's coming. A couple from Rehovo and Tel Mond, Eitan Krantman and Coral Daisy Dean, recently got engaged on the Temple Mount, showcasing a practice becoming popular among Jewish couples. They combined the 2 parts of a traditional Jewish marriage, kiddushin, betrothal, and nisuin, wedding ceremony, under the chuppah. This emphasized the belief in humanity's creation in God's image and the formation of an everlasting union. This significant moment on the Temple Mount is connected to a verse from Jeremiah, often recited at weddings, predicting a time of joy and thanksgiving in the land. The Temple Mount features historical gates for bridegrooms and mourners, known as the Gate of Mercy. As more Jewish couples choose the Temple Mount for their engagements, they see it as the fulfillment of ancient prophecies like Zechariah chapter 8 verses 20 to 22, which mentions people from different cities coming to Jerusalem to pray to the Lord. These events are seen as awe-inspiring and in line with biblical prophecies. And finally, the Battle of Armageddon. Armageddon, as talked about in Revelation chapter 16, verse 16, isn't just a big battle, but represents a global rebellion against God's rule. It's like a gathering point for armies challenging divine authority, not in one specific location, showing the power of a higher authority. These events often impact nations that have moved away from moral values, similar to recent global disasters such as landslides, diseases, wildfires, and lightning. Armageddon is seen as a powerful force, making people and societies reconsider their choices. While linked to destruction, it encourages reflection, change, and return to important values. In our changing world, these ideas connect ancient prophecies, history, and today's events, prompting us to seek understanding and unity in the face of challenges. So, what do you think of these terrifying rapture signs in Israel? Comment below and subscribe for more.